Hey everybody. So the question is, does astrology predict personalities? Yes, it very much does. As a matter of fact, in the West, Western astrology deals with more psychology, and the Eastern system, or what we call Indian or Vedic astrology, is more predictive. Now, I study both, but obviously I was born in the West, so I grew up learning Western astrology, which is accurate, is very accurate. Both systems are accurate, they're just different. So it's just like when you go to a doctor, it's good to have a traditional Western doctor and also an Eastern doctor who maybe does a little bit more natural stuff. So both are good. But what I want to talk about today is why some people are so weird. And there's a variety of different reasons for that, because, you know, astrology is so complicated that it would be hard to pin down just one aspect, one sign, whatever. But today I want to talk about a planet that's known to make us unusual, or eccentric, should we say. And I don't want to so much get into in depth, because people aren't going to follow with me probably, but there is books out there by doctors who are astrologers. They're psychiatrists and doctors, and they talk about certain aspects and what causes maybe more serious kind of issues. But I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to get into that with anybody, but they are out there if you want to look that stuff up. But today I want to talk about the planet that is known to make us kind of march to the beat of our own drum, okay? And that planet is the planet Uranus. Now, Uranus has an erratic orbit, and I've talked about this before. It's here, it's there, it's everywhere. It's very erratic. So the nature of the planet itself is just kind of unpredictable. So that's why Uranian people have a tendency to be known as unpredictable. Uranus cycle is 7 years, so it takes a long time for it to get through one sign, and I'll talk about that for another video, but it's a long time. You guys have heard the 7-year itch. A lot of times people get divorced, blah, blah, blah. All this stuff is not pulled from thin air. Like, it's all astrologically based. So astrology's been around forever, since, you know, the wise men were astrologers. So obviously they knew what they were doing. They found Jesus, right? So anyways, what I want to talk about today was what I consider a Uranian person, what Uranus stands for, how this behavior can manifest if you are a Uranian person. But Uranus does rule the sign Aquarius, okay? So just because somebody has a strong Uranus or whatever doesn't mean, you know, it's kind of like an Aquarius. But Uranus is different because you can't tell, like, there's no set, you can look at a sign and be like, okay, this is going to cause this. Uranus just makes the person just kind of want to do their own thing. This is the true free spirits of the world, or Uranian type people. They are going to, like I said, march to the beat of their own drum. Uranus rules astrology, Uranus rules technology, Uranus rules lightning, and Uranus rules all things unpredictable. And if you've been through a transit with Uranus, you would know what I was talking about with that. It's boom, 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 boom. Everything's going on, one after the other. Could be good, could be bad, but it's just sudden, unexpected stuff. So for me to figure out if somebody's on that Uranian type of thing, I look at certain things. I look if Uranus is on the sun or the ascendant, one of the personal planets, which would be Mercury, Venus, Mars, Moon, okay? Or if there's a packed 11th house, because the 11th house is ruled by Aquarius, if somebody has a bunch of planets there, and any aspects to the midheaven. Okay, squares, oppositions, conjunctions with Uranus to the midheaven. Now, going back to, and I've said this before in my other videos, astrology is ruled by Uranus. I have, just to let you know, Uranus exactly conjunct my ascendant. That conjunction with Uranus is the #1 aspect of professional astrologers. Interestingly enough, you guys know I have an unusual job. I'm a psychic, an astrologer, an entertainer. This is what I do for a living. That's very Uranian. I actually have Uranus all over my chart. I'm very Uranian dominant. So I have it conjunct my sun, exactly conjunct my, at 7 degrees, my ascendant, conjunct Mars, and squaring my midheaven. So that's why a lot of times people won't think I'm a Scorpio, because it's right on my ascendant. Uranus gives height. Scorpios are traditionally short. I'm 5'7". I'm not short. Gives it a different look, okay? Totally, and different personality. So what you find through the houses, I'm going to go through this really quick, is we're not going to talk about like, you know, weirdos today, like the dangerous, violent, mean type, because those aren't necessarily Uranian people. Like there's other aspects for that. But the Uranus type of person, what you're here for, what your mission is you are not going to conform. And that's all there is to it. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. As long as you're not hurting anybody, hurting any animals, breaking any laws, do your own thing. Uranus rules intuition. And I don't mean like I slept and I had a dream. That's 12th house Neptune Pisces. I mean, boom, flashes, boom, because it's electricity. It's lightning. I've talked before. I knew a guy that was struck by lightning one time, and he actually developed psychic ability after he was struck by lightning. And that's why Uranian people, they're high energy. You know what I mean? They got big personalities a lot of times because it's such a high frequency they're dealing with all the time. And in order to be psychic, you kind of have to deal with the higher frequency. They're higher than us. So Uranus in the first house is going to be obvious eccentricity. Obvious, okay? It's not going to be hidden. Uranus in the 12th house, they're going to hide it a little bit more. Uranus in the second house, I'm talking about the natal chart right now, is going to, you might make money through unusual ways or technology or, you know, something along those lines, but it's going to be unusual. Uranus in the third, going to be unusual relationships with neighbors, perhaps siblings, perhaps one of your siblings is a little bit different, you know? That's Uranus in the third. In the fourth, that's the beginning of our life and the end of our life. So something in your life would have been unusual in the beginning or sudden. Okay, Uranus in the fifth, there could be sudden pregnancies. One of your children could be very, very unique or different or just kind of out there. And there ain't nothing wrong with that as long as you're not hurting anybody. Uranus in the sixth, you're going to want to watch your health. Because it does rule the circulatory system. Doesn't mean you're going to have a health issue. And you could also be really interested in help others in the health field with Uranus in the sixth. Uranus in the seventh, you meet your husband, your wife, whoever, suddenly, unexpectedly. They also could be a little bit unique, okay? Because that's what Uranus. Also, there could be sudden endings and divorce too. Like I said, it's good and bad. It's good and bad. It's not just one thing. Uranus in the eighth. Again, we look at situations around the end of the life. The passing might be sudden, okay? But also, the eighth is other people's money. So there could also be like like all of a sudden you get money, just unearned money. Neptune and Uranus can be unearned money. Uranus in the ninth has everything to do with travel, sudden travel, everything else. Uranus in the 10th, whether it's square, opposition, whatever, odds are you are going to have a unique job. If it's squaring it, you are probably going to have to work for yourself because you don't like authority that much. But that's okay. As long as you're smart enough and work hard enough to build your business, you can do it. But just know that about yourself. That's why astrology is important. Uranus in the 11th is a great place to have it because it's the natural ruler. This rules our friends, our highest wishes. Everything else gives great intuition. And I already said the 12th, it does have to do with they might hide their eccentricity. You know what I mean? So that's what happens. I am going to tell you a really funny story or interesting story about the shows I do because I am a psychic, I am a medium, I am an astrologer. I deal with a lot of huge groups of people out in California, and both times I've gone out to do a show. You know, I'm very Uranian. Everybody knows that. I'm not a banker. It's not going to happen. So, but this is who I am. This is who God made me, and it works for me. So, the first time I did a show, I had some friends out there with me. I have to go to rehearsal before I do a show. So we're walking in the room to do rehearsal, and my friend said the door just opened by itself. And I knew, you know, because it's these sudden things, you know what I mean? I knew that they kind of, it sounds crazy, but when I go do a show, I do communicate. I do medium work as well. They know when I'm going to show up somewhere, so they start getting more active, you know, and stuff happens. Last time, in the middle of the night, my mom was with me in the hotel room, and all of a sudden this was the night before my show, the radio turned on, and my mom was yelling. She thought it was my alarm clock. She's like, turn it off. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, it's not me. And then the next day we were like getting ready, and the water wouldn't turn off, and my mom kept getting shocked. Again, electricity, Uranus, when we're in the hotel room and stuff. And then I did the show that night, had fun. The next day, everything calmed down again. So the energy of Uranus is out there. It's totally out there. And for you guys who have lost somebody you care about or whatever, like that's why it's so important to pay attention to electrical stuff, whatever, like lights flashing on and off, or, you know, even if like something turning on, something just turned, oh, I don't know, just the other day, something turned on in my house by itself. Anyways, I know when my vibration gets high, that's usually when I do my best readings, but it's an energy. So that is the Uranus person. We all have it somewhere. Some of us have it a lot more than others, okay? And you don't want to fight it, because here's the deal. Like, if you use Uranus in the right way, like people used to say I was crazy all the time because I was always talking about astrology all the time, constantly. And they'd be like, oh, whatever, don't do this. I didn't listen. Uranian people are stubborn. They follow their intuition. That's what they do, and ended up working for me. So I have a whole career out of it now. So they do tend to be stubborn. They do tend to follow their own way of thinking, and it's because their intuition is heightened. So they don't listen to other people so much. And I'm not saying that's always good, but usually it is, because if you're following your own intuition, you're going to get to where you need to get. If you follow somebody else's, you get to where they want you to get. And no Uranian person wants that. All right, thanks so much. Have a great day, guys. Until next time.